with Bread of Life Mission, and I am sitting here with Luke Frank. He works at Seattle Union Gospel Mission as the Church Partnerships Program Manager, and he has a friend here, Mike, who's a street chaplain with Remind Me the organization. Okay. Okay. Yep. Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Well, Luke, we just met recently. Can you tell people a little bit more about what you do? Oh,
Oh, there you
there.
go. You got me now. You got me live. Okay. Yeah. So I'm with Seattle's Union Gospel Mission
Mhm.
Church Partnership Team, and what we do is connect with faith communities all across Greater Seattle, and really try to engage the faith community around how do we better love and care for our neighbors experiencing homelessness,
Mhm.
and whether that's education or mobilizing the church or how to get involved in their local community. And so, well, we do a lot of work with that. So,
That's awesome. Um, there's so much I want to ask you. What did you do before this? Before you were in that role?
yeah, so I was a youth pastor at
Okay.
a church, and then in between that time, I was also did some work with memory care in Capitol
Oh, so
Hill,
you did
working with
both ends
folks
of the
with
spectrum
did both
there.
ends of the spectrum. Yes,
What's
so.
the biggest thing you've learned since you came into this kind of role, working with homeless people? What surprised you, or maybe you've been at it too long to?
Yeah, that's a great question. I probably have learned the most from Mike, honestly. Just building that friendship and with his lived experience,
Yeah.
on the street. But um, the way that you see people
Uh huh.
will be the way that you treat people. I mean, that's
Oh,
been a huge thing for me, that if we don't see correctly, if the lens isn't correct, the way that we look at people,
right.
we'll never treat people correctly.
That is so good.
Um, and then, yeah, I think that's probably the
Mhm.
biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
And then just what you look for, you'll find. You know,
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
people love to talk about all the things that they see and experience, and the darkness, and all the different things, and if you look for that, you can find
Oh
it.
yeah.
But if you look for the light, and you look for the goodness in people, and you look for the joy, and you look for the community, and you look for the peace, and you look for Christ, you will find it whoever you see and whatever you see.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's been a huge part of what I've learned
Yeah.
from Mike too, just in his journey. So.
That's Thank you. That's great, Mike. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and whatever you want to share? He said lived experience. That
Yeah,
means there's a story.
yeah. There's a story. I can give you the short version, but yeah. So I left home at about 15. Before that, was raised in a very like religious home, and just had a lot of religious trauma. I think growing up, and so yeah, home life wasn't great. I ended up leaving around age 15, 16, and ended up getting strung out on heroin at a pretty young age. Did a lot of hitchhiking up and down the West Coast, and just yeah, dealing with the whole everything that comes from drug addiction and chronic homelessness. So spent a lot of years living on the street, and then yeah, 2020 was when things kind of came to a head for me, and I had a just kind of a spiritual encounter with Christ through the message of Jesus. I was reading the Gospels, and yeah, just had this just transformative moment in my life, and it floored me. It
Wow.
honestly, I dealt with heroin addiction for 12 years, but this after that moment, it just I haven't craved it one day since. It's been almost
Wow.
5 years, and so experienced like what I would call as a miracle, I could say,
Mhm.
and yeah, it kind of um, sent me in a direction that I'm not exactly sure what all's been happening these last 5 years, but it just filled me with this love for people, and I just knew I wanted to be back out where I had spent time where my friends were, and just be with them and be present with them, and so it kind of started during the pandemic, and I was just kind of out there hanging out with people and started to get connected with churches. I'm out there and I'm talking about Jesus, so churches naturally kind of started
Yeah.
coming around, and ended up getting handed this like outreach project that I kind of took over and started working outreach into the camps during the pandemic, and then
Wow.
was offered a job at this drop-in center in the university district, and went there. And yeah, that's when the kind of concept of chaplaincy was brought to me. They asked me if I would be their chaplain because the kids just like to talk to me about God stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was
That
doing
is
that
so
for a
cool.
while.
I was just, as you were saying that, I thought, I think the sign of a true encounter with God is when you walk away and you love people. Like
100%.
that's, if you're not loving people, go back to them and find out why. Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because that's who Jesus was.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. God is love,
Yeah.
and so you will experience love if you're experiencing God.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me some of the stuff that you're seeing out there right now, in all the areas in the encampments and stuff. What?
Yeah, I mean, on one level, things look really rough out there. That it seems like there's just the amount of homelessness that's apparent and just kind of out in the face of everybody on the street is seems to be growing. The fentanyl situation definitely changed the game,
Yeah.
and so yeah, you see a lot of that. But in the midst of it, though, I'm seeing this like there's a hunger for wholeness, and this like it's hard to, I don't know the exact words that I'd put to it, but this spirit, people are looking for home. Like they're looking for some sort of home to come to, and a lot of times they find that home with their family on the street, and they get that sense. And as dysfunctional as it is, that's where they're receiving it. And so I don't know. I've had some really powerful conversations with people just even recently. I call them my spiritual directors because I feel like God speaks to me
Yeah.
through these people out there all the time.
Yeah.
If you're listening and you're paying attention and you create that loving awareness in that space within yourself to where you're not out there responding to their predicament, but you're responding to the being who's experiencing that predicament, they can almost feel like they can finally breathe around you.
Yeah.
And that's something I just try to cultivate a lot. I try to just be as present as I can when I'm out there.
Yeah.
And it's made space for some beautiful, beautiful moments.
Yeah. There really is a difference, isn't it, between trying to fix somebody and
Yeah.
just trying to enter in with them and,
Yeah,
and
just
be in
being with them.
relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like the people that you're seeing, are they wanting to live out there for the most part, or do they want help? Like, what are you seeing?
I mean, it's very person by person, and I think I always bring it back to being present and being able to be, present to that situation at the moment and that person that is there, because it's going to be different from person to person. There's some people that, that's not the vibe. They don't want to go inside of a house. Some people, they've experienced more trauma inside of these housing complexes. For me, things got worse when they gave me housing
Yeah.
than it was, because you take people who are already dealing with all this trauma and then you take them away from the one good thing that they do have, which is their community out there on the street, and you stick them in this box and say, well, now all your problems are solved. Like you have
Right.
a house, and I think the thing is they're not houseless, they're homeless, and home is not four walls and a roof. Home is where you become a person again.
Yeah.
And so how can we create home, even if it's not inside of a box that's a house, Can we
Exactly.
give them home out there?
I love that you said that, because I have this real problem with us saying, oh, well, they're not homeless, they're houseless. I'm sorry, these guys in our mission, they don't care
Yeah.
whether we say houseless or homeless. And I think we're just changing words to make ourselves feel better. And you're exactly right. It's not about a house, it's about a home.
Yeah.
And it's about community. And so, yeah, we believe that homelessness is more about a lack of relationships than a lack of
100%.
housing.
100%.
Yeah.
I was going to speak to that when you're saying, do people, are they looking for a place? Are they content where they're at? I think what I've sensed is that people are all people are looking for connection.
Yes.
Everybody's looking for connection, and that connection comes through relationship, authentic relationship, and so I think that is what everybody's hungry for, and that's what we see, is that we believe a huge core part of homelessness that we see comes through broken relationship. And so a lot of healing comes through relationship, but if there's not trust, it's hard to have relationships and get back to connection. And so part of that is it being present enough to build a trust and a bridge to where a relationship can be formed, and then people can have the ability to kind of take the next step, with the agency that they have. But yeah, well put.
That's so good. I don't want to talk. You guys just go ahead. Really, I just want to hear what you have to say. Yeah, what are you feeling like? You said fentanyl is growing right now, right? Like, you think so? And I was just talking to Amy Barden, Chief Amy Barden, and she was saying that the whole drug supply is completely tainted right now. Like, first of all, I think it's poison anyway, but it's poisoned, right? I've seen a lot of people out here recently having episodes. I really think that there's something in the supply right now. Are you seeing any of that?
Yeah, I mean the game has changed. Even it makes me feel kind of old, because like just even from the time I was out there to what I'm looking at and experiencing now, it's just it's rough. Got a lot of kids who are dealing with like flesh-eating kind of bacteria, something that's the drugs are being cut with. That's I had a kid last year that we basically were fighting all summer to save his leg, and if they're not getting the wound care that they need, fairly quickly it gets to the place where like amputation is the only way that they can help it, and that's just the physical aspect of what these chemicals are doing, and then you got the whole psychological and mental aspect as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who don't understand about it, drugs, don't realize how many people they're seeing in wheelchairs on the streets that it's from drug use, right?
Younger and younger too. I'm seeing, you used to be like, the old junkies that had been using forever and blew out all their veins from IV use. I mean, they were the ones who hadn't have their legs or missing limbs, but now you see a 24-year-old kid who is just smoking fentanyl for a year or so and got a sore that just stopped healing, and it takes them out pretty quick.
I heard somewhere recently that if somebody is addicted to fentanyl, they probably have 18 months. Is that like it's a short-lived addiction? It's not, right? Like
the risk of overdose is so much more prevalent because of how little it takes. I mean, just a size of a grain of sand can take you out. So yeah, I'd say that's one thing. I'd say the amount of overdoses has gone up exponentially. Also too, because it's just a white powder, it can end up in all sorts of things. So I got a kid that he doesn't even use fentanyl, but he's OD'd probably 7 times just because the stuff that he does get ends up having
I saw a documentary on it where they're doing packaging fentanyl on a table, and the next day they're packaging cocaine or weed or whatever, and so it's there, it's in it, and it's in the entire supply. So I know we had one of our guys get a hold of some that he didn't think he was taking fentanyl, and he did, and we lost him, and it's just the saddest thing for a family.
It is. It is.
What are the bright lights that you're seeing right now?
That is a good question. You wanna go for it?
Yeah.
Not because there's too many.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I think
okay. We'll just talk about that.
I think the bright lights that I see a lot right now is I see a creative collaboration that I haven't experienced before in all the years that I did ministry. That there was a lot of silos and everybody was trying to do things on their own. But I think we're at a place where the need is so great and the pain is so great that people are willing to say, what can we do together that we can't do alone?
Yeah.
And so seeing people come together in a culture we live in that is very separated, and that tends to be a lot of, um, divisiveness. What I'm seeing is people coming together saying, hey, we may think differently about certain things. We may believe different things about certain things, but let's work together. I want to
Yes.
learn from you. I can learn, from you. You can learn from me. And what can we do together? We have right now that I know of, there's outside of just what we're doing, there's multiple gatherings that are happening across communities where people are coming together, faith leaders, nonprofits, organizations, the city council, police chiefs coming together, sitting in these gatherings saying, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm seeing, here's what I'm experiencing, um, and here's what I could bring to the table. Here's the resource that I have. And then as people are sharing about those things, we're seeing not just something new starting up, but really saying, how can we help support each other?
Yeah.
And so that's a huge bright light that I see, because I had never seen anything like that. And like I said, there's a common theme across a lot of our communities where we're seeing that type of thing
That's
happen,
great.
which is really encouraging.
I love
you know,
seeing that.
so,
Yeah, the collaboration has to happen. And that's what this bench is all about, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, honestly, to kind of go off of what Luke said, I just see this breaking down of kind of divisiveness and hierarchies, and just kind of this almost leveling of the playing field of our shared humanity taking place on so many levels. Like Luke's been bringing me into these gatherings that are happening in neighborhoods where churches are coming together that maybe didn't even know each other, come from different denominations, and being able to like engage over the specific issue of them feeling kind of powerless about how to engage with their homeless neighbors. And I had this moment a few months ago when we were sitting in one of these gatherings, and there's a lot of people in the room in this circle, and they're talking about the homeless and the homeless problem, and I was looking around the room, and I'm like, okay, you got this Catholic priest right here, and there's a Baptist minister right here, and a evangelical, but all these different places, these different people representing these kind of like splits almost in different aspects of the Christian tradition. And I was like, I just paused for a minute, and I told people, I was like, can we just take a minute, guys, like to almost shift our lens for a minute? And we're talking a lot about the homeless problem, but like, you guys are in this room together talking and dialing because of them. Like what if we could start by maybe thanking for bringing
us
together a church that's been divided for a long time, and bringing a lot of healing into that space to start with, and then maybe go sit at their feet and learn from them, because we could talk about them as the problem, but I see them as the solution. They understand deeply the way that what it takes to survive out here, and what it takes to love someone who also has to survive out here.
Yeah.
And so if we could equip them and learn from them and their perspective, I think would be very powerful, and you're starting to see that happen.
Well, and don't you think that the issues that we're seeing are just like those folks are magnification of the issues in our society in general, right?
100%. They're the prophets. They're the prophets.
Like, let's look at that and fix our own family, right?
It's a great mirror.
Yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that I think I've learned a lot is about that when we see the humanity in people, and we start to get outside of our comfort zone, that we all flourish in a greater capacity when we see other people as they truly are. It's not just about us fixing problems and fixing a thing and saying, oh, but when I can experience them, it actually helps me to flourish as a person. And I realize we're more the same than we are different.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
So I think that's the beauty in it too, that we're seeing a lot across communities in these settings. And when you get to hear from other people, you see that a lot of times we talk a lot about the issues that we see. We talk a lot about, well, we don't have enough money, we don't have enough resources, we don't have enough people, we don't have enough creativity, we don't have enough all this. But when you start to sit in these spaces, what you realize is there's an abundance.
Yes, there is.
What we do have
Yeah.
It's just that when you split up that abundance, it looks like there's not enough.
Right.
But when you put everything together, you realize if we look at it through an abundance mindset, we
Yeah.
have everything that we need
Yeah.
to help other individuals flourish and for ourselves
Right.
too.
We just
you
need
know,
to
so-
use the tools we have.
Yeah.
The gifts we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah.
What would you say to people who just don't know how to help when, they're walking down the street and somebody comes up to them and wants a buck or whatever, or they want to help somebody? What do you tell them?
This is what I learned from Mike.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even set this up. Okay. You got a good
Yeah.
answer?
Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Like I think we can, especially in maybe people in a church context or a Christian context, can put so much pressure on themselves when they're interacting with somebody they meet on the street, and they're like, oh my gosh, I gotta give this guy a systematic theology in 5 minutes, or else I'm not gonna be doing my good Christian duty, and they just overwhelm themselves, and it just gets weird, and no one knows what to do, and
Yeah.
so I always tell them, like, just take a deep breath, be present, learn a name.
Yes.
Learn a name. Like if
See them.
you see somebody, maybe you're walking to work every day and you pass the same person, go up to him, learn his name, ask about his day. And this always trips him out. I said, don't bring up Jesus. You don't gotta bring up the
Yeah.
thing, on the
Yeah.
first round. But remember that name, and then come back and say, hey, Zach, how was your mom that we talked about last week? You just did two things right there. You let
Yeah.
him know that you cared. You let him know that you were listening.
Yep.
Because I don't think that human beings can distinguish between feeling listened to and feeling loved. So, because if I feel listened to, I feel loved. And so, if we're called to be people of love, we should be people who listen. And so, yeah, just listen, be present, be open, and let that happen. Luke always talks about, he's like, things happen at the speed of relationship, which is it's slow going. It's that kind of slow cultivating work, and you have that ministry of just mere presence and that consistent compassion of showing up, and then needs come and you walk through them together. You
Right.
meet the needs as they show up, but when you know them and that's your friend, that's not the guy on the corner, that's Zach, and I know about his mom, and
Yeah.
I know about, and we see each other regularly, then you're just helping your fellow human being. It's not a project, and they don't feel like a project either.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be my advice.
Yeah. Last words?
Well, yeah, I just think sometimes it can be a little daunting because you feel like you have to have the right words, or you feel like you have to always have the right approach, or you always have to give something to be of value. And I think the greatest thing that you can give somebody is attention,
Yeah.
affection, affirmation. Like those are the things, and it's very simple things. It's a eye contact, it's a smile, it's a good morning, it's a name, and you might
Yeah.
not have anything to give. What you just gave was what many times people feel is, I feel invisible.
Yeah.
I feel like a failure. I feel like nobody sees me. I don't feel like I'm worthy. I don't feel valuable. But when you affirm those things, that speaks to a person's identity.
Yeah.
And what we call that, like in the mission and recovery, is it's a replacement experience. Because where you believe this, now all of a sudden you just came in confrontation because now somebody did see me and they spoke to me as if I am valuable because I am. Now you have to battle those two things, and it's kind of a replacement experience, and that's where healing can begin to happen.
Yeah.
And so it's sometimes the smallest things that make the biggest difference, and
really
that's the
does.
encouragement that we
It
would
really
give to
does,
people.
yeah. Well, thanks, you guys.
Yeah,
I appreciate you
absolutely.
coming down, and thank you so much for the work you're both doing. But just I think about people like you going out to encampments, and it's just really, really hard, intense work. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Kim.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we'll be back in a few minutes, and we're just going to go to a quick break.